This is James Adams with your Cricket Wireless Fantasy Football Update. We continue to get you ready for the playoffs in fantasy, and this week we're going to look at wide receivers, both the good and matchups that you get in weeks 14 through 16, the playoff weeks for most fantasy setups. First, we're going to look at the good ones. The best receiving matchup in those 3 weeks is Kansas City. They play 3 teams giving up a ton of points to wide receivers. The problem is Dwayne Bowe's the only even ownable wide receiver from Kansas City. The question marks at quarterback make it difficult to play Dwayne Bowe. And if you look at it, he only has 8 catches in the last 3 games. So while his matchups are great, he's a tough guy to start, but certainly a guy you keep on your roster right now. He could pay dividends with the right setup. The next best matchup, the New Orleans Saints. And boy, do they love to put the ball in the air. So this is great news for Marcus Colston owners and Lance Moore owners. You look at the Saints, they spread the ball all over the field, put up a ton of points. Either one of those 2 guys is going to be a great option to put in your lineup as you roll through weeks 14 through 16. Going to the third matchup, it's Philadelphia. And again, quarterback questions just troubling for this duo. You've got Deshaun Jackson and Jeremy Maclin, guys you drafted to be starters on your fantasy roster, but they haven't produced even when Mike Vick was in the lineup. And now you're looking at Nick Foles throwing the ball to him. Don't know who will be at the quarterback position come fantasy playoff time. But again, great matchups for these guys. They're going to be so difficult to start. Looking at the 4th best matchup is Houston. And they love to throw the ball to Andre Johnson. He stayed healthy all year. He has over 1,000 yards receiving. Houston's going to be looking at a push to get that #1 seed in the AFC Championship run. So for your playoff run, that means good things because they're going to continue to get the ball to Andre Johnson. And when he gets the ball, he is hard to stop. Baltimore's another team pushing for that top spot in the AFC. So expect them to compete down to the wire. They have the 5th best matchup for those set of weeks. That means good things for Torrey Smith and Anquan Boldin. Bolden's only found the end zone once so far this year, but Flacco continues to look to both of those guys. Good guys to have as options in your fantasy playoff hunt. Flipping it to the other side of the coin, the bad matchups. The worst matchup of all, San Diego. Well, Phillip Rivers hasn't been very good to begin with this year. Danario Alexander has emerged as a solid starting option in fantasy football. The problem is he has tough matchups those last 3 weeks. Malcolm Floyd's been somewhat consistent throughout the year, never given you great performances. Those are 2 guys that are going to be hard to put in your lineup. Arizona, looking at some of the good matchups where the quarterbacks were a problem. Here's bad matchups where the problem is quarterback and the defenses they play. Andre Roberts has emerged as a somewhat sneaky flex play this year. He's been good for players. Had a nice week this weekend, in fact, but him and Larry Fitzgerald will be difficult guys to put into your lineup. Not only are the matchups difficult, but the offense just doesn't move the ball very well. Cincinnati has the 3rd toughest matchups those weeks. A.J. Green, he's irrelevant to matchups. You're going to play him no matter what. But Mohamed Sanu had a nice game this week, scored twice. Don't know that you can play him even if Hawkins stays out. Neither one of those guys are going to be guys you want in your lineup. Minnesota has tough matchups in those weeks too. Right now, we don't even know if Percy Harvin will be back. He's still struggling with injuries. Couple that with the fact that Christian Ponder has really gone down in the last half of the season. Percy Harvin's a guy that's tough to not play, but with injury questions, quarterback questions, he's a tough guy to put in your lineup. Oakland's another team. They throw the ball all over the place, but tough matchups these last couple of weeks. And Denarius Moore and Darius Hayward-Bay, guys who have been good lineup options. Well, Hayward-Bay didn't even score this past weekend, and as the matchups get tougher, even harder to put those guys in the lineup. This has been your Cricket Wireless Fantasy Football Update. Remember to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and watch us or listen to us on 1365. Shit, Dan, I just totally butchered the end.
Dude, he can cut it out. Just redo the. He can.
He can edit it?
Yeah, I'm sure he can. Just redo the setup.
Right. This has been your Fantasy Football Cricket Wireless Update. Remember to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at GetSportsInfo, and as always, listen to us 9 to 11:30 on Sunday mornings, AM 1360 Fox Sport, and the Cricket Wireless.
God damn. Dude, one more time.
Oh, shit. I'm used to somebody else doing the ending. All right. This has been your Cricket Wireless Fantasy Football Update. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at GetSportsInfo, and of course tune in Sunday mornings 9 to 11:30, Fox Sports 1360 for the Cricket Wireless Fantasy Football Game Day.